this coin, there's two things, I think. One side, loving and leading, kindness and strength, requires the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Healing and training, initiation and validation.
Yeah.
In order to do this, love and lead in kindness and strength, you have to go through this healing and training
mm-hmm.
and be initiated and validated. It's almost like you guys designed it that way.
With God, there is always more. More love, more life, more freedom. Welcome to Zoweh's Exploring More with Michael Thompson. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "Our Heavenly Father has provided many delightful ends for us along our journey, but He takes great care to see that we do not mistake any of them for home." Join me and the team as we explore the kingdom together, discovering the deep truths and offering encouragement for the journey. There is always more. Hey, welcome, friends and allies, to the Exploring More podcast. Michael Thompson hanging out with S.J. Jennings, and we are going to do part 2 of a series, maybe just a 2-part series on validation. And love what we were talking about last time. We ended right with, I think the question was,
why isn't there more?
Why isn't there more?
Yeah. If we're all so thirsty and hungry for it,
why are these oases so rare?
We should be seeing it everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you had a couple thoughts.
Well, I mean, my first thought again was going back to the proliferation of social media, really in the last, 10, 12 years, something like that. It's gotten huge, obviously. And what people will do in order to get, 10,000 thumbs up or go viral or whatever. Some of the crap you see these folks doing, man, it's like, really? That?
Yeah.
Okay. So, that there's obviously a need for it. We've talked about it. We're wired for it.
Yeah.
And that's often what we'll do. We'll take something that God has wired us for, and we'll come up with some kind of a cheap substitute that try to
use it.
Yeah, or to try to fulfill that desire, right? So that was one thought. Why isn't there more of it? Well, the world is full of cheap substitutes. The other part is, if you're in a desperate place, whether you're hungry or thirsty, and you have a little bit of food or you have a little bit of water, it's not instinctive for you to then distribute it or share it, right? So what I think we have is women too, but we're talking about men. We have a culture of men who are hungry and thirsty and starving for validation and love. And so it's not their inclination to give it away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's difficult, nay, impossible to give what you don't.
Yeah,
possess.
Like you started that with in the other episode, Howard Hendrick.
Yeah, so to be, we say wholehearted a lot. We talk about the pursuit of wholeheartedness. I mean, another way to say that would be full-hearted, not foolhardy, full-hearted.
Yeah.
That my heart is full and from an abundance, and I know what made it full. I know the validation and the encouragement and the attention that I've gotten from God, and so He has more.
Yeah,
I know He has some for you.
Yeah,
I see it. I see you, and to be that part of that kingdom delivery. Talk about algorithms. I mean, to have that kind of kingdom. Back to our friend Mark, it wasn't that I had this. Maybe because he read the book, I had some position in his mind and heart, but I didn't know him, and yet that had sustenance to him.
Yeah, you're in a position of authority. Book aside, you're in a position of authority because you're behind the podium, and he never received that from anyone in a position of authority in his life.
Yeah. So
What a great moment.
Very, very good moment. And the wild thing, let me just say about the kingdom in that whole regard, Mark's response was validating for me.
Sure it was. Sure.
And, you know, like you said earlier, well, the trick would be to bottle it or can it and then say that every time, hoping that I'll be validated. You know, that's when it gets impure. That's when it gets somehow compromised.
It's like manna.
Just it lasts a day.
You can't collect it.
You don't collect it and make it work the next day. So, and I'm saying that from my own experience of confessing that, oh wow, that felt good. What Mark said, I think I'll do that every time. And so then the enemy comes whenever I actually do say, hey, proud of you guys, our team, work well done. Yeah, you're just saying that so that I get accused of stupid shiz, which is not true.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a very interesting, space in which we get to play and get to fight and get to engage in what it is to offer, you know, validation, encouragement, and value to other image bearers, to other human beings. So talking about this culture of honor just a little bit, Doug Miller has really educated us a bunch on these coins.
Yeah.
In the military.
Challenge coins.
They call them challenge coins. We've called our coin a validation coin, but so much of the substance of it's the same. And so let's just talk a little bit about the significance and the weightiness of this coin, at least in the armed services, in the military.
Yeah. My understanding is that once you're kind of into your unit, each unit has a different coin. Doug was telling me there's some units, at least in the Air Force, that you're assigned a coin, like it's yours. Yeah. And you don't give it away. Yeah. And, you know, it's got a number on it that, it's numbered in that unit. Okay. And it is heresy for you to not have that. Yeah. It's heresy for you to drop it. I mean, all of the stuff.
You're expected to carry it and honor it with you. It's an honor for you to have, and it's an honor for you to carry. Yeah. It's a great idea. Great point.
Yeah. And then I think, too, maybe our listeners and viewers can help us clarify some. But I also think that then there's some that you carry, and if someone challenges you with one, you're supposed to exchange them. And if you don't have one, then you're busted or in trouble and somehow there, too. You know, I got validated when I was on staff at a church. I was at a church that was in a town that was all centered around a military base, Seymour Johnson Air Force Base in Goldsboro. So I have a display on my desk of validation coins that I've received, or challenge coins that I've received over the years as validation from members of the military service. Yeah. And but beyond that, I'm not all that familiar with it. But I think what we're trying to do is to adapt that
bring idea a version of
our culture as a way to honor men and others, and as a reminder, right? Keep that in your pocket. Yeah, you know. Yeah, and the. By the way, I gave mine away, so I don't have mine in my pocket anymore.
I know. Well, I was about to throw mine down here in a second. So, well,
just before you give me a hard time about it,
it's a great excuse.
I gave mine away.
You're buying.
I validated them.
You're buying me a beer later. Okay, that's what's happening. You don't have one. You should have gone to the vault and get some more. But I think about. You said something yesterday. We were talking in another conversation about some strategy things and honorary positions,
honorary status.
Honorary status. Do you remember that yesterday?
Yeah, sure. And came right out of my experience in the fire department.
Yeah. And just how did that work? Just speak to that just real quick, because I think we have to speak to that in this space.
Yeah, sure. I think well, in my department anyway, and I think it's pretty common in a lot of fire departments. You know, when you're a member, whether you're a paid guy or a volunteer guy, you go to the academy, you earn your stripes, you you take a bunch of calls, right? You put in some time, years of service. And then if you are moving away, or for whatever reason, maybe you're incapacitated by injury, whatever it is, you can't operate as a operating member. Mm-hmm. So I don't live in Connecticut anymore, right? So I can't respond to calls in that community. Uh-huh. So before I moved, I put in an application to move to honorary status, right? And so what that means is, as far as the department is concerned, in perpetuity, as long as I'm alive, I am an honorary member. I've earned the right to receive the benefits of membership, even though I'm not an active member.
Yeah, it's a validating title.
Mm-hmm.
It's
almost like Professor Emeritus, right?
Yeah. And it's one thing if you didn't go to that university and they're going to give you an honorary doctrine or an honorary thing. Even that is some recognition for, and maybe it communicates, we wish you had gone here, or we would love to.
Or you didn't formally do it, right? Your doctorate program here, but you've done the work, and we see that.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about. We were talking about the coin itself.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. There's been men. So long before we designed our coin, I probably have received from military and first response people. Mm-hmm. I bet you I have 20.
Yeah.
And I keep them in a bowl. And they are a variety pack, man. Yeah. I mean, they have multifaceted things on one side, on the other side, from crests to words to slogans.
Yep.
But, the whole thing for me, as I began to be introduced to receiving those, was a guy brought it to attention that, hey, thank you for the weekend, or thank you for the book, or thank you for something, and I wanted you to have this.
Validation.
Where they're little less of the, hey, challenge coin, I'm challenging you.
Right.
Though that's not a bad idea. I mean, I get that. I like that. But what we're talking about is these coins that are used or a means to say, I see you. You've meant something to me.
Right.
Thank you. And I wanted you to have this. Not only to remember the one who's giving it to you, but to call you forward, to keep you encouraged that what you're doing mattered. It mattered to me. And so, those coins all have a man.
Yeah.
They all have a handshake. They all have like photos, iPhotos will do like memories from 10 years ago.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And you see a couple of those I get grabbed and pulled into those photos all the time because look how young I was. Look how young they were. Look at, do you remember? I remember that space. So there's.
Oh gosh, he's gone now. It's good.
Yeah. And that I was going to say this earlier and you made me now remember it, just remembering Ron Gaucho's life, who died suddenly on our elder sage initially, the beginning, the first recruits of the Elder Sage Initiative, and being there in Denver, to have a part, to be asked to come. Would you honor Ron? Would you come speak at the memorial service? Would you be a part of that? And then the whole video series, the video Elder Sage video series, there was pieces of footage of Ron, not just in his interviews and in front of the camera, but even in the B-roll. When we were watching that, SJ, and seeing holy cow, what Patrick put together, it looked like we were trying to do a memorial service validation piece.
With the footage we captured.
Like you'd have thought we were filming for that.
Right.
And yet, we were just capturing Ron sharing what is, where he's getting validation and honor and what he's trying to bring validation and honor to. That's the deal. That's the thing that, to see, I think, this reformation that comes on the other side of a rebellion, and the rebellion comes on the other side of, being sick and tired of captivity, and I could bring in the whole recovery community right now. Time out on that thought. They recognize these milestones with coins, with recognition from a sponsor, from the relationships in there, from the others that are in this space of overcoming and becoming some substance abuse. For crying out loud, we're all in recovery.
Sure.
To some facet, to some degree. And I'm not trying to cheapen those in AA or Al-Anon. You're
just bringing light to the fact that this is happening everywhere.
When I look at the Blue Book, when I look at and read the tenets of those, I'm like, that's Zoweh. They're gonna say we're stealing. We are borrowing. The principles. Yes.
Yeah, and it must all go. If that's true, if there's
what's the source?
Zoweh, Zoweh's saying it. The recovery community saying it. It's showing up in all these different places. There must be a common thread that we.
I was going to say a common well.
A
common well that we're drawn out of. Yeah. So let's take a quick break and come back and just kind of talk about the coin.
Yeah.
Let's
do it.
We'll be right back on the Exploring More podcast. Every man has a kingdom. Not every king rules well. Like a living piece in life's checker game, you are moving across the board towards your time of greatest authority and impact. But what kind of king will you be? In King Me, I want to guide you through the 6 stages of the masculine journey and invite you to walk with God into healing encounters and validating experiences. Through this, we can learn to wield love as our greatest weapon and provide a kingdom where hearts are free. Every man does have a kingdom. Not every king rules well. You can. It's your move.
Now available on Amazon. See kingmebook.com for more details.
Welcome back to the Exploring More podcast. It's part 4, if you do all the parts, SJ, of a 2-part series on validation. And man, we had to do 3 parts to finally get to this coin. So let me get mine out of the pocket. So, and you said you don't have yours, so I think I'm going to challenge you.
Okay.
If it was a challenge coin, I would challenge you. But it's a validation coin, and I just would love to talk about tokens of affection. Tokens of recognition.
Maybe we can get images of it, but I know you guys can't really see it very well on there. Maybe you can. I don't know, but probably not. That camera, okay, yeah, and then maybe you can electronically zoom in on it, Caleb. But go ahead, bud.
So Cole and I, about a year ago, started as I was finishing writing King Me. This whole concept God kind of began to bubble it up in a way that, and it's so funny because even at the concept, SJ, there was like, nah, that's kind of corny, or
what the coin?
Yeah.
Oh man,
I know but I'm just telling you.
It's based in. I was thinking about this earlier. When you play checkers.
Mm-hmm.
And you get across the board, that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
The validation is
King Me.
Mm-hmm. It's a validating moment.
Yeah.
Because it was hard to get across the board, right?
Yeah. And you get to that point, you get a piece that's been taken put back on.
Recovery piece.
And so, but my point with that comment had to do with, it's just amazing how, how life-giving validation can be, but how draining or how drying accusation can be, or to even feel for a few seconds, that's a dumb idea. Why would you want to do that? And to even assume that that's me,
right,
disqualifying or discrediting me, is a very, very bad assumption.
I mean, we could do a whole another episode about things we shouldn't validate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not worthy of validation.
Yeah. Not worthy of honoring. Right.
That voice, not worthy of validating. And we validate them sometimes by
it's
our
all
behavior.
Can be so autopilot and so brutal. So
the coin.
Yeah. So it was so fun to design one. I'd never done that before after receiving all these. So, and Cole is so good, man, with taking expression and bringing it into tangible graphics and tangible spaces.
Yep.
And so, we just started kind of pulling some elements from the book and moving it towards, what are the what are the images? So there's the king piece on one side. Mm-hmm. On the other side is that rampant lion.
With a crown on his head.
Yeah, for the really that Lion of Judah, Aslan. So we had those elements, and then these words on both sides of. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on some of those. And it's on one side is loving and leading. Mm-hmm. And then under that is strength and kindness. Mm-hmm. And so that's how we aspire to live.
Right.
And then when we see that, or we want to invite that, that's when the coin can come out and recognize that in another man.
Yeah.
And then, so that's kind of what we're after, is loving and leading with strength and kindness. And on the other side is a process. Mm-hmm. And it's a recovery process. Mm-hmm. It's a restoration process. Healing and training, validation and initiation. Mm-hmm. So so the question is, we'll do one side at a time.
Okay.
Today, in this space, what are one of those words on one side? You get two. You're going to get one on that side, one on the other side. But what's God moving, stirring? How's one of those words that maybe describes, that's important to me today, and why?
Yeah, strength would be definitely the one that God is bringing to the forefront of my mind and heart, because, being a kind of a big dude and really always feeling, I don't remember ever feeling a feeling where I wasn't physically strong. Mm-hmm. As I get older, it's kind of like she's got the heart, but she just ain't got the legs. I mean, I feel a little bit of that at 52, certainly more than I did even at 45. So, but in my heart, I'm still a 23-year-old and can lift heavy things.
Try to, yeah.
You don't have to think about it. I just pick it up, know? So, so the redefinition, or not even the redefinition, that's not even the right word. The deeper, more expansive definition of strength is what God is continuing to work on in my heart, So, even in these, we talk about these validating moments, I feel strong in the kingdom, a little like, we were talking about in our last series, we were talking about parables and modern day parables. So at the end of the Matrix, when Neo sees everything, and then he just kind of flexes a little bit and the wall goes, I feel like that at times now in the context of the kingdom, because I'm seeing more and more. And my strength is not solely based in physical strength.
Right.
It is in multiple realms, the spiritual realm and the physical realm.
Yeah.
So it's something that God is, in the midst of working out.
If a kind word turns away wrath, how strong is that?
Exactly.
And so the marriage of those two words has been just not only a fascinating discovery for me, but a fascinating practice for me. Learning, and we've heard this. It's in every communications workshop you'll ever go to. It's not what you said; it's how you said it.
Yeah,
right. And how powerful and weighty kindness can be versus having a strong reaction is not the same as having a strong and kind word.
Right,
A strong and
response.
Kind response.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a response really requires intentionality and a moment of reactions rarely include taking a breath.
Yeah,
they usually are just
pausing,
pow,
between the moment and how you what comes up in you. That's good. I like that. I like that a lot. What about the other side?
Yeah, the other side. I would say, for me, it's definitely training. God's done a lot of healing in my life, and I'm not saying that there's more healing that there isn't more healing that needs to be done, because I know there is. But the training part, I've been saying it. You've probably been hearing me say it a lot lately. The training circle I'm in right now is blank, whatever it might be, because I just am seeing it that way. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
So, I'm end of 2021. My word of the year is grief. And lost a bunch of people in my life, and put a dog to sleep, and I mean it was just there was a lot of loss in that year. So, what I'm not saying is that I am in training around grief and loss and sorrow as a means to avoid feeling grief and loss and sorrow.
Sure.
It's a both and. Because I've done that before too, where I experience something, whatever it might be, and I go into training mode. Okay, well, I need to know more about this so that doesn't happen again, and just completely ignored how it made me feel. Yeah. Now, I was trained to do that at a young age. So training for sure, and even being able, part of the training I've been in is being able to see the training that's available for me in a given moment, kind of all at one time, right? I'll experience validating another man, and I'm being trained on how to do it even better in the moment. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So more healing, more training, but training is kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, it's a very critical. It's probably one of the best and hardest components of being a kingdom man or woman, living life in the kingdom. It's learning. It's what a disciple does. It's training in how to be like Jesus. And I think about there's challenges when you are learning about something, reading about something, or I would say, in my athletic background career, you have whiteboard and chalkboard and film. You have training sessions where seeing is like, wow, yeah, I see that. But and we want to have those retreats, and we want to have those teachers and guides that we read about in the morning at 7 a.m. or 6:30 a.m. or 5 or whatever it is with coffee. So you're reading C.S. Lewis. You're reading who is the I just forgot the grief.
Francis Weller.
The
Wild Edge of Sorrow, if you'd like to get it on Amazon.
So, you read about it, and then the trick is we're not talking about training in just a knowledge base, even though that's part of training. We're talking about the kind of training. You have the fire department. We can talk about how to do this and what to do, and then we get to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how you put the mask on. This is how you wear your helmet. And don't do this, by the way. And then we go and practice. Same thing when I think of training and I've been a coach to younger hearts, and I've definitely been coached. But when you are out there and the whistle blows and he says, wait a minute, this is what we were talking about. Yeah. We just said, now, do you understand your body is this way? You have got to turn this way. And your arm is taken, your legs are moved, and you are, I get it now. And especially then when
in the moment
he has you, going back and forth, and you understand that I'm moving less and covering more on defense, and now I can look at you, but I can see Caleb. Talking about peripheral vision.
Yeah, you know what though? Caleb can't hear you because you're away from your microphone.
I can see, and that ball gets passed, and I can jab it, and there's success.
Yeah,
that's when training becomes. Now it's validating because the coach is like, there it was. That's the one
I'm talking about.
Yes,
yeah.
And so all of that plays together, and you see training. I never forget when I first heard Graham Cooke say, we're all in training for reigning. Training for reigning. Reigning how? In love and strength and kindness.
Loving and leading, and kindness and strength.
All of those things together on both sides of the coin being a declaration of this is a way we want to live, and we're learning how to live this way with Jesus, with each other in redemptive community. And when somebody gives me that coin and explains why it is and what it means, then all of a sudden it has value. Right. Because of who gave it,
clicks,
what it's about, what it represents, why I'm getting it, and all of those contributing to validating me, and God giving some token to somebody to give to me to answer those deep core questions. And the invitation at the end of this podcast is, I wonder how, why, who, where God is trying to validate you, and it's not getting through, or it's not getting to you, or it's not being recognized that, oh my gosh, that little, those 7-size font on the top of a package in the top left-hand corner. Here's the address to. But when you get to the top, who's the sender? Who's it from?
Yeah.
And sometimes there's things that we buy, that we want, that we get, and it's the manufacturer up there, not the brand. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
And so, do we recognize that love himself is the one wanting to recognize and encourage? I see, and answer the questions. I see you. I love what I see. I want to be with you. You're doing well. And the lies get dispelled and the truth comes to land.
Can you believe it?
Can you believe it? And the truth can come to land and overcome the darkness. So validation, huge
I think it's great the way that you said that, man, because this coin, there's two things, I think. One side, loving and leading, kindness and strength, requires the other side. Healing and training, initiation and validation.
Yeah.
In order to do this, love and lead in kindness and strength, you have to go through this healing and training and be initiated and validated. That's really interesting to me. It's almost like you guys designed it that way.
That was kind of a backhanded validation.
No, it was great.
Backhanded validation. I'll take it. And what's so funny is you say that, and I see you getting it, and I can tell you this that the same discovery happened to me when, like, wait a minute. These things work together.
Yeah.
You know, it was like God was like, Jesus, your Father's going, he's getting it. So, you know, when
that's good, man.
When the meaning becomes more, the coin becomes more, the validation becomes more. Wait a minute, I think he knows what this means. Yeah. You know, and that's where I think we I'm hopeful that as we move, SJ, continue to move onto the frontier in many ways of helping men reclaim their identity, reclaim the masculine heart. I hope we have to get a hold of thousands more of these coins.
For sure. So, because there are men who need them and are earning them. It's not a, what would I call it? It's not a participation trophy. Right. Consolation prize.
This is, thanks for, you're coming in second. Well done. This is about moving in the hearts of men in a way that, I hope we can see in our lifetime, the next decade or so, hopefully have more than that, but in the next decade, there'll be some guys Zoweh guys that'll pull out their coins and go, and another guy.
I got this 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
See how worn down it is?
Yeah. But carrying it in my pocket.
Yeah. So
and giving them away.
Oh, absolutely. I need 10 of those things.
And getting another one.
I keep giving them away.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think in our next episode, I'd love to hear from you about which of these, like you asked me about the words that are kind of coming to the forefront right now, because it does seem to kind of go that way, right? Yeah.
You move and drift from one part to another, but
and then maybe we can talk about some validation ceremonies and just tell a couple stories.
Yeah. Love to.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do that. Last thing, because I will forget otherwise. You were talking about we're all walking around like beggars, and it's funny. What do you do for a beggar? You drop a coin in their cup, and instead what we want to do is, no, put the cup down. Mm-hmm. I'm going to look you in the eye and put this in your hand, and seal it on your heart, because this is who you are. Yeah, and this is what you're capable of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, super good. All right, so we'll be if you haven't looked, I want to just give a plug. We got a lot of book tour dates out there. And maybe we are coming to your city, your community, or nearby, and you want to come and engage in an evening of goodness. Yeah, where we're whether you have the book King Me or not, or you want to bring some friends, it could be a good time to. What does it look like to step into an environment for men that is encouraging for them? Right. When not all spaces. We find ourselves in a lot of spaces that aren't. Oh yeah. And so, what would it look like to be encouraged one night, and what kind of fuel might that provide, and an invitation that might provide? So, we got that. Also,
KingMeBookTour.com.
KingMeBookTour.com, and then SJ the October
Encounter weekend at Sharp Top Camp in Georgia, just north of Atlanta. It's October 5th through the 8th. Yeah. So put that on your calendars. It's coming. Yeah. And we would love to see you there. And hey, if you're going through King Me, if you're going through Heart of Warrior, you got a group of men. One of the best ways we've found to encourage and invite a deeper level of camaraderie and brotherhood is to go on mission together. So come to the encounter. Yeah, plenty of runway now. Here we are in May, and giving you the heads up in October. And Zoweh.org/events. You'll find it there. Sounds good. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Always remember, we are a crowd-funded endeavor. So if you'd like to contribute and become a part of our financial support team, visit Zoweh.org/give. We'll see you next time on the Exploring More podcast.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Exploring More. The landing page for this podcast is zoweh.org/podcast. That's ZOWEH.org/podcast, where you can find the show notes and various platforms to which we broadcast. You can also find us and the Life of More by visiting Zoweh on YouVersion Bible app, Right Now Media, our Facebook page, and Zoweh on Instagram and Twitter. Remember, with God there is always more, and you were made for more.